welcome back to the Plunder Den. In this week's episode, we're going to build some scatter terrain for that native village that we've been building. So in the first part of the series, we built that wigwam, and then we moved to a longhouse. But I really wanted some kind of other scatter terrain to add to that village, to really flush it out and make it some more points of interest in it. Not just adding some trees, but other stuff in the village. And there would certainly be a lot of other things in a village of this sort. There would be a place where they would commute, like usually they have in the center of town, there would be some kind of place where they would have a large fire for all sorts of different kind of events. They also had, outside area where they processed furs and cooked food, and in another area to farm. So they did have farming, mostly beans, sunflower, and corn. So those would be the staples of those early villages that they would grow. So I kind of wanted to capture those three areas of the village. I'm just kind of looking at some pictures of paintings and drawings of the past. Those were kind of some things that I saw that were prominent. Now, certainly I don't know all the historical significances of everything, but definitely I wanted to add them, and I thought it would add a lot to the game. So let's take a look at them. I made 3 pieces. So this is that centerpiece I was talking about. So there's kind of some logs here for people to sit around. And they would usually have different events in the center of town where they would have a large fire. So I kind of wanted to capture that with this. And obviously this is not on fire, and I didn't put any light details in here, but it's just kind of representative of that. So I made that for the center of town, or the center of the village. Then this area here, this is kind of a processing area where they would have cooked their food, but also their furs, and just kind of a town life or village life here. So I really spent a lot of time in details on here. Put some pottery in here, some cutting tools and utensils in there. We got some furs hanging on their little rack here. They would have a covered, fire pit here where they would do their cooking in. So I really spent a lot of time on different little details on here. And I actually just took a look at pictures of other of drawings and stuff of this. And this is similar to what they would have had. But so I wanted to kind of capture that in a single piece too. I thought that would be something that would be important in that village. So then the third and last piece is the farm field I was talking about. Now this took some time. I kind of instantly regretted when I started making it, not because I didn't dislike the final result. I love the final result. It was very time consuming. The issue was I was really trying to find corn or sunflowers. I was just going to buy some from the craft store. But there really isn't a whole lot out there. I really came to the conclusion that there isn't a whole lot of plant life out there that you can buy like this. So I had to craft it. Let's say that took some time. Yeah. So definitely the individual petals and everything, let's just say it took some time. When we go down to the video, you'll see what I mean. But after pulling the last little bits of hair I have here, we have a finished product here. And I'm super happy how this turned out. And you know what? Even though it was a lot of work, I don't regret it at all. This is fantastic. I found another use for that twine. This crafting twine is now becoming kind of a staple in my building materials. It's fantastic. Great for this kind of fencing they would have used. I'm kind of thinking maybe you can use this for some kind of like fortifications as well. I know they use these with rocks in them and stuff like that, and they kind of like use twigs. So I'm not sure what that's called. I'm sure somebody will correct me. But something like that I could probably build with these as well. I think these would be perfect for that. Just build maybe a whole bunch of little individual ones. And that'd be great scatter terrain for a fortification, right? But anyways, so you just got here. You got some corn over here. You got some sunflowers over here. Now the sunflowers are a little proportionally wrong. But I kind of want it to be large so you can see it from the tabletop and clearly identify what that is. And you can play minis right in the middle. I made sure they fit right in the center here, so good cover in here. Have some people hiding in the farm here. So overall, I was really happy with this piece. Took some time, but it was. I'm really happy with the result. Now, I kind of made these pieces thinking that I was going to save some time doing something smaller this week after doing the longhouse the last week. But yeah, this was actually way more difficult than the longhouse and more time consuming. But I'm really happy with this, and I think it's really going to bring a lot to that village build. All right, so that's it. If you guys like what we're doing here in the Plunder Den, make sure you smash that like button and consider subscribing to the Plunder Den and get first-hand information when I start these kind of projects. All right, everyone, let's get down to the table and let's start painting and let's start crafting. Okay, I started off like I start most of my projects, cutting out some dollar store foam board. I plan on doing 3 different separate little terrain pieces. So I cut out 3 different size pieces. And here I'm just kind of measuring out some matchsticks and some dowels there to see how high I want the fence on that farm field. So you kind of just see I just kind of drew out some basic design of where I want things to be on these terrain pieces. So then I used that little X-Acto knife, my hobby knife, and carved up some of these matchsticks and dowels just to give it a little more wood texture to it, so it doesn't look like a matchstick or a dowel. So I wanted to certainly add a little bit more texture to it. So I kind of wanted to have this kind of an entranceway into this farm field. They used to fence in their farms with branches and stuff, and that's what we're going to try to capture here. Using white tacky glue, so I glued this all on. So that's my fire pit there, that's the first I'm showing you there, and then there's the farm field, and then this is kind of like a kitchen kind of slash where they make their furs or cut their furs up. And so then I went to that craft wire string. So like I said, this stuff's amazing. And I have lots of potential projects I can make with it. But for this particular type of fencing, this is perfect. It's got kind of like a twig look to it already. And it's got a wire in it, so you can easily bend it around in those matchsticks. So I kind of showed you as I went along, just so you can see. I kind of just keep going around and around and building up the height on it. Now, I did add some white glue in there once in a while just to kind of bind some of it together so it sticks together. But other than that, it pretty well stays in place, right? So I'm just showing you all the different pieces. So I built this little table. That's balsa wood. And I just glued it together. I wanted to have a little table, work table in that area. And then I plan on putting a whole bunch of stones as that's the next step. So I got that insulation foam. And I just cut it into random chunks and squares. And I'm going to stick it in my old trusty coffee tin there with some stones and give it a little texture. All right, so this is after I've already texturized them and I started gluing them on. So I decided I wanted to have stones on the inside and outside of this farm field. Just a little bit on this work area. I have a retention wall kind of there. More of a windbreaker really to protect that fire. And then this is the central fire in the middle of the village. So I wanted to stone that, of course, around as well. So then I added a little bit of gravel to that fire pit you can see there. And this is after I've done gluing all the little stones on. And so I pretty well almost crafted that farm field. Just giving you a good look of everything. Came out pretty good. I was pretty happy with that. So then I added a little bit of stone on there, a little bit here, added some gravel in there. I'm going to plan on painting that over just to texturize it a little bit. I also made that little rack for hanging furs on. So I added some of these, that's dowels that I've texturized again with that hobby knife. It made it kind of like logs that they're sitting on. And then I cut 3 or 4 strips of insulation foam here, and this is what the plants are going to be sitting in. So I kind of want to have something for them to sit in. So I plan on sanding that down a little bit. And then I have to make kind of like a shingled roof cover. They used to cover their that fire pit. This is usually where they cook some food or they're processing the furs. So if it's raining or whatever, that fire is still covered. So that's kind of after I've done the shingles. And you can see I've sanded that insulation foam down. Mainly to, I just didn't want to have giant ridges. I plan on adding some drywall compound over top of that. I just used matchsticks to kind of frame that little roof up on there, and there's 2 posts of balsa wood there that it's sitting on. I didn't glue it on, and I probably won't till the very end because I want to paint the inside and outside of that. It'll be too hard to paint afterwards. So then I used a barbecue skewer, and I punctured a bunch of holes in the insulation foam here. This is kind of, and I did the sharp end. Make sure you use the sharp end, not the dull end, because you don't want the hole to be too big. You want it to be bigger when you push the plant in. And then I'm just showing you I'm using that same DAP drywall compound spackle there that goes on pink, dries white. I'm going to hit all 3 pieces of terrain here. All right, so this is after it's dried. And all the different pieces. You can see I'm not very overly careful. I don't care if it's sloppy. It can look like mud or whatever. It just adds texture to the whole thing. So, and then I built a whole bunch of little things. Those little round things that look like plates, those are actually pieces of sprues from the ships, Firelock game ships. Came in handy for different sort of things. I'm actually going to use them for my sunflowers too. And then I'm just showing you they're going to use the black paint and as usual prime all the pieces here, the fur and everything. I'm going to prime with that black paint. So this is the beginning of the craziness. So I decided because I couldn't find any sunflowers or corn plants that I'm going to have to craft them. So I took some barbecue skewers. Those are those sprue pieces I was telling you about from the ships. That's I guess where the mast goes through. I've been saving those for a while. I figured I could probably use them for a hobby project, and here's the project. That other stuff is some safari grass. You got it at Michael's, and that other stuff with the little leaves there. It's just kind of some, I'll show you in a minute. I have a package that I'll show you. It's just kind of, got it from the Walmart, the floral section. And I just cut it into little bits, as you can see, like that. This is like completely insane. This is like gluing little leaves on here. Yeah, this took some time. Yeah, this is the corn plants. Just to name the corn plants, the leaves are usually facing down, and the sunflowers are usually facing up. It's pretty well the only distinct. Obviously, one has a flower on the top, but so this is what I was talking about. This stuff here. It's I don't even. It's just kind of like you can find it in the floral section at Walmart. It's just you get a bag of this stuff. I had considered doing a thatched roof with this, and I've tried it. It's extremely difficult. I don't recommend it. I abandoned that. That's what I originally bought it for. But actually, it came in handy when I cut it up into these little bits for leaves. Now, you can see that those barbecue skewers, I actually used that hobby knife and kind of trimmed them up so it looks like there's a little bit of branches. You can see on all these. And that's kind of what I stuck the leaves to. So I kind of made little mini branches. Yeah. I know. Crazy. I must be insane. Yeah. Anyways, moving on. We're going to move on to the paint. So I have to prime everything with that black craft paint. I didn't glue those plants in. Obviously, it's too hard to paint them if they were in that farmer's field. So I kind of just left them on this some scrap pieces of foam here, and I'm just going to paint them on there. The same with I added those sticks and dowels to that fire pit in the middle of town or the village there. So this is after everything's primed. Holy moly, lots of priming going on here. The only thing I didn't prime was that corn husk at the top, and that's it. So this is my standard colors: real brown, bark brown, Pablo. We've seen me do this virtually in every project, so we're going to briefly just discuss it. I plan on doing everything with those three colors, and then I'm only going to be strategic about the camel. So I'm going to hit the stones. I actually dry brushed the fur. Added a little bit to some of the wood areas, but mostly it's just the stonework that I wanted to hit with that camel. Now, of course, that's after I've added all the browns. Like I said, I've shown this in before. So we're going to do a little bit of paint tutorial here, but we're going to do it in fast forward again, just to save time. So these are the stone colors: desert yellow, the skeleton, bone, necrotic flesh, and mummy robe, the ones I always use. And again, we've seen this technique several times. Just using this one piece, just using a dry brush, and we're just fast forwarding it through here. I just felt that I wanted to show a little bit more of it. I know a lot of my videos, I just kind of point to it and I don't show you. So I've been kind of trying this instead, at least fast forwarding it, so you guys can at least see me paint a piece of it and kind of how I do it, instead of just skipping right past it. So we're just going to watch this real quick. I'm going through all the colors. I'm going in them the same order I have them on the palette and that I mentioned when I called the colors out. That's the same way I'm applying it. The last one you should put on is that mummy robe. So I hit all the other pieces, by the way. So now that dark stone and necromancer cloak, and that's ash gray, white, and that's Morfang brown. And this is aged wood. Again, I didn't want to just skip past it and just point to the colors and skip past it. So I'm going to kind of show you how I paint this. So this is the basic aging of the wood I do. Now, of course, after I've done this fast-forwarded video, I went back and I touched up some areas. You'll watch, I already spilled some gray on there. You know what? It really doesn't matter. I'm pretty loose when I paint this kind of stuff. You can always go back and add brown to the base or touch things up. It doesn't really matter. It kind of adds like character to a lot of different areas. You get like lighter spots and darker spots everywhere. So again, I'm not super careful, but sometimes I'll go on there and I'll put too much brown on there and I don't like it, and I go back and put some more gray on there, and I just kind of go back and forth until I'm happy with the tones that I have on there. And of course, I highlight everything with the white on there as well. So I just wanted to do a fast forward video of that and just show you what I was doing there with the wood. All right, so this is me coloring the plants. So I used just some different colors here. This is angel green, and we got some what I always use, the commando green and jungle green. So I'm going to start with that angel green. It's a darker green. So I put that on all of them first, and then I hit the leaves with that commando green. So it's kind of a three-tone green process, and then the lightest green should be on the stem. So if you actually look at corn husks and like a corn plant or a sunflower, the stem is the lightest color. So I wanted to use the jungle green on that area. So now I'm just showing you some oak brown, basilic brown. This is fire lizard. And this is that dramatic yellow. Those are the colors I plan on using on the petals of the sunflowers. I only did a little bit of brown. I actually ended up just leaving them orange. I did one brown and I kind of didn't like it. But I ended up, I had this crazy idea of doing like little spots on it, but I abandoned that. All right, so this is after I finished painting them all, just giving you a quick look. I've painted all the pieces now. And of course, we didn't watch me paint everything. I just wanted to show you some of the parts. And now we're moving to the finer details. So gunmetal, I just want to do those knives on the table. Some sterling mud, I just added some strategic places. Added that contrast paint, skeleton horde, and that pure red I'm going to do on the pottery work there on some details. You put a bright red on there, it really stands out. Those are my standard tufts that I use. This is my flocking and stones from Army Painter. All my favorite ones that I've used. I've used them in several videos. Of course, using the tacky glue and a brush to spread the glue on and apply that. We're not going to watch me do that. I'm just going to mention that that's what I'm doing. So once all that's on, I put the flocking and everything on first. Then I put those plants on at the very end because I can't reach everything when I do that. All right, so let's take a look at the village now. So we've been kind of over the last few videos, been kind of building this village. You'd think these English would have taken this village by now, but the fenders are tough, and they get more structures every time we look at it. Great, so this is that little cooking area and workstation where they process the furs. You got all the tools and pots and plates on there. Just a note, never get rid of the sprues from your ships. You can use them for all sorts of hobby ideas. This is the fire pit for the center of town, or the village here. And I think if I had some more time, if those plants wouldn't have taken so long, I probably would have put some fire effects in there. And maybe I might do a new one in the future sometime, but not at this time. So here's the farmer field. I'm really happy how this turned out. These plants were super tedious, but I really liked the way they came out. I'm really happy with this, and it gives me ideas for other things. But I think I'm gonna have to make sure I have some patience when I do the Cod Blue Oceans. That's a lot of tedious work. All right, if you like what we're doing here on the Plunder Den, make sure you smash that like button and consider subscribing to the Plunder Den and get first-hand information when I start these kind of projects. All right.